Yum, Pepsi. Sorry. There you go. Hello and welcome to Attach Pass. My name is Ben. I am joined by Beth today. And we are a mediocre podcast by mediocre players, I guess.
I'd definitely say mediocre players.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Basically, this is the first episode in a podcast series that we're going to be doing all about Pokemon and the TCG for that, and our experience in the Pokemon TCG, but also maybe going over some tournament results.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I guess assessing things from this side of the pond, because there's plenty of incredible quality content from over in America.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And there is some good content from over here in the UK, but we wanted to help embellish that a little bit more, and Europe, that is, I should say, but embellish that a little bit more and add more content to the U of tubes and wherever else you might be listening to this to, if I've not been too lazy enough to put it on things like Spotify and stuff like that, with your permission, I guess. But yeah, our first podcast, going to hopefully, touch wood, do it weekly. If Beth or other people, I might have other guests on, Beth might say one week that she wants to just get rid of me and you want to host it. Absolutely fine. Give me a break. No, we thought for our first one, we're just coming off the back of Liverpool Regionals. I've still got my wristband on because I'm a cretin. And I thought we'd take an opportunity to talk about our experiences at Liverpool. It's my second ever regional. Is it your second as well?
Second, yeah. When I first played, there wasn't regionals. It was cities.
Yeah, exactly. We'll touch on that in just a moment. But yeah, I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to be able to talk about Liverpool, how we got on, how we felt it was all organised and stuff like that. Foreshadowing, it wasn't great. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Yeah, just basically talk about our decks, how they felt, and then have a look at sort of the top place in decks and how they differ from ours in terms of the top place in. Spoiler alert, I took Guardy, Beth took my Rhydon. How the sort of placings were different in terms of lists, and then just explore, I guess, a bit the top 8 and what we're going to do from there, if you're all happy with that.
Yeah, no, that sounds great to me.
Sweet. So, but before we start with that, I guess we should probably talk about ourselves a little bit. We'll start with you. Because, you know, for those listening at home or watching at home, it might be good for them to, I don't know, engage with their hosts and be able to, I don't know, have that conversation and sort of feel like they know who we are. So, You said earlier, when you first started playing, there were no sort of regionals, there were cities. Now, for me, relatively new, that feels ancient. And that says weird because you're younger than me.
Yes, but you've got to think, when I first played, I was a junior, so this is like 10 plus years ago we're talking here.
Crazy.
This was 2012 was the last season that I played.
Wow, okay.
So it was black and white, heart gold, soul silver, all that was legal.
Yep.
And it was a very different format back then, where whoever won a coin flip had to go first.
Had to.
Had to.
Oh no, the forcefulness nature.
You had to go first.
Okay, interesting.
They'd only just changed that season that you could play a trainer on your first turn. So when I first played, you couldn't play an Ultra Ball on your first turn.
No items at all?
No items at all. No trainers.
Gosh.
They just changed it so that stadiums were different to trainers.
Wow.
So originally, everything was under the trainer bracket.
Right, okay.
And they didn't differentiate at all. So you had to not play a trainer.
Like we've seen how like tools have recently like differentiated from normal items.
So basically that's what happened with my last season.
Cool.
Was that stadiums differentiated from trainers, and that was the first change.
Yeah, big mix-up, actually.
Big mix-up, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so the glory days, so to speak. Do you miss them?
It was different, but I'd say that it's not too dissimilar now because we have got a wide meta now.
Yes.
When I first came back to playing, it was a very, very narrow meta, and I didn't enjoy that as much, and it's why I didn't play as much when I first got back into Pokemon. And then Scarlet and Violet got announced, and we saw that we were getting Stage 2s back, and I thought maybe we'd get a wide meta again, and thankfully we did, and it meant that it made the meta more enjoyable for what I could remember, because Stage 2s were some of the best decks out there when I was first playing.
Yeah, the meta at the moment certainly is very wide, very vast.
Yes.
I think we counted something like 14 different, like, not viable to win, but viable to day 2 decks.
Yes.
Which is quite nice.
I think we tested with most of them before we went.
Yeah, we did. And I only ended up facing 4 different decks or something over the course of the tournament.
I think I was about the same.
Yeah, it was pretty grim. So cities and tournaments like that, they were more localized?
They were more the size of cups now.
Okay, cool.
So that's basically what's an equivalent now. There was a regional, but the regionals were a lot smaller.
Yep.
It was size up from cups, basically like they are now, but a lot smaller scale still.
Yep.
And then you had nationals.
We're talking like 200 players?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then nationals are like our regionals
Yeah,
now.
nationals are
Sure.
similar to regionals, still smaller, but
Yep.
a lot of players, and it was very different for how you'd qualify for those.
Yep.
You had to get a certain number of play points to be able to go.
Oh, so like Worlds?
Yeah.
Qualifying?
No, very different because it was just play points.
Oh, play points,
Not
not
championship
championship points.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then you had to get a certain placings
Yep.
at nationals to be able to go to Worlds.
Okie dokie, that's fair.
Yes.
So you take a break between... Obviously, you took a break.
I took a massive break.
Yeah. How many years break?
11-year break.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a significant break.
Yeah, there was a significant break.
And is there any particular reason life just got in the way, as it usually does with these things?
It was more of I had to choose between playing Pokemon and playing sport. And I decided to go play sport.
Just poorly, is what I would say. Absolutely. No, you did right, because you later on in life could come back to Pokemon.
I did, yes.
And it's probably a lot easier to be able to come back into a TCG than it is to be able to come back into sport in the way that you're involved with it personally.
Yes, definitely. It was definitely a lot easier considering I was potential for going pro in sport. Didn't, but had the potential there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more of a potential career choices, which sport still does impact my career choices.
Massively.
Massively. But coming back to a TCG just gave me an opportunity that I didn't have when I was a kid because I didn't have the money to be able to spend what I do now.
You now have adult money in a kid's hobby.
Yep.
Or something like that is the phrase.
Yep. Adult money in a kid's hobby, but I wouldn't change it.
Fair play. And what was the reason? When did you come back? What was the first set?
So it was Silver Tempest was when I first came back.
Interesting, because that's the same set that I started playing again.
Oh.
Well, pretty much. I started collecting again.
Yeah.
I will touch on that in a minute, but I started collecting again Brilliant Stars, then played Silver Tempest.
Yeah, that was about the same for me. I started back collecting around Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, and then just was like, I left my old job, had my weekends back, and I was like, let's see what's on. Found a Pokemon pre-release and went along and played in it.
Brilliant. And you enjoyed it?
Oh,
clearly.
I loved it, yes.
And you sort of, that was at one store. I'm not going to name store names, but just so everybody's aware, we're currently recording from Sanctuary Gaming Centre in Sutton in Ashfield.
Yep.
Both Beth and myself are professors, and we do work here, don't we, to make sure that
yes, we do.
people can play in the games and stuff like that. I'm a TO and a Stage 1 judge, and you're a basic judge at the moment. But you should have had your experience enough to be able to do Stage 1 if you want.
Yeah, I've got all my I've got my pie chart full. I just need to wait the few months
it's
more.
It's tenure, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just need to wait a bit longer. I should be able to get it by May.
Perfect. And if you need any help with that, you know where
I know where you are.
And we've got quite a few professors and stuff that are starting to be interested in helping run the games and stuff here. And I like to think that we sort of started to, I was going to say harvest, but I'm going to say foster new professors and stuff in Sanctuary. But, so you played at other stores.
I did, yes.
And then you ended up finding Sanctuary online?
Yes, I found it through the Play website because I was like, well, it's a bit of a trek to get there every Wednesday.
Yep.
What's a bit closer? And I didn't realise when I started playing again because it was never coming up on the Play site thing that Sanctuary did it. And if I knew, I would have came here a lot sooner because it's a lot easier for me to get here than where I was playing before. Just when I'd finished work or even when I hadn't been at work and I just needed somewhere quick to get when in the rush hour traffic.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we did only start doing our stuff February last year.
Yeah.
So we're just coming up to a year old in our league now. In fact, it was a year old yesterday.
Oh yes, first of
Feb was our first ever day. 1st of Feb was our first league as well. So I should have really posted about that, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. So I guess I'll do that after this podcast recording. But yeah, it was, we only started doing stuff back then.
Yeah.
And I think the community's grown really, really well.
Oh yeah, the community's massive to say that the league's only been running for a year.
Yeah, I mean, we've got we get 16 to 18 consistently.
Yeah.
We've had over 80 different players turn up and play, which is really good.
That is crazy.
and we started at 3 or 4, I think it was. So we've come a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you've joined our family in terms of helping us judge.
Yep.
Because you do stuff outside of Pokemon for Sanctuary as well.
Oh, yes, I do.
You do help with all the Lorcana, so you run Lorcana for us on a Thursday.
I judge Lorcana as well.
And you judge the big events that we do for Lorcana, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
So yeah, that was a really quick, I guess, really quick. It was a rundown of yourself in Pokemon. And you like the meta where it is at the moment?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think it's an enjoyable meta at the moment. It's wide, so there's lots of choices of where to go. You're not just stuck with one deck.
Yeah, it's not like you choose one or the other, and if you face one of them, you lose, and if you face the other, you also lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. That's fair. I really like the meta too. So I collected when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I got like real old cards.
Did you collect from base set, Ben?
No, I'm not that old. I was born in 95, so I'm 28, for those that are wondering. Base set came out in 94? 96?
96. 94 was Japan, I think.
One of those 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was only a glint in my mum's eye at that point.
You were, yeah.
If it was 94, yes. So I didn't do base set stuff, but I did sort of do, what was it? I did go back and buy base set stuff when I was younger. Anyway, I remember playing Pokemon in the playground and just being like, my Charizard's got more health than your Pikachu. It dies. And my opponent would be like, that's not how it works. I'd be like, yes, it is. And they were like, fair. I'm like, okay, you remember we said we play for keeps? Oh, no.
Never play for keeps.
Literally, I had 1 week with that Charizard that I had where I basically just slaughtered everybody in the playground with made-up rules that don't make any sense. And I got loads of cards, and then everybody grew wise and was like, I'm not playing Ben, he's got that Charizard. I was like, okay, great.
And you never got to play Pokemon again in the playground?
Yeah, I didn't have any friends anyway. I just had Pokemon cards. No, so I would never really played or collected at any sort of like competitive level or anything like that. And it was genuinely, I came here to stream an Age of Sigmar event, and I saw the Pokemon cards on the shelf, and my partner and I were sort of looking, and we're like, hang on a minute, these are kind of cool. I was like, do you want to play it with me? And we picked up we picked up the Battle Stadium for Astral Radiance. Mm-hmm. And we got home, played the decks, learnt a little bit about the game, played it wrong, as you do when you don't like follow any form of guide out there.
When you're just there like, I know better than the manual, put it to the side. Yeah.
Also, the store at that point didn't have anybody that was able to teach you or anything like that, so we had no guidance. It was just a case of, this is product, we buy product, we play with product. And then the next day I came back and bought 2 more Battle Stadiums. For some reason I thought they were great. They're not bad value, right?
No, they're not.
If you want 40 energy in every deck. They're not too bad value, so we ended up basically buying the shop out of all the Brilliant Stars and Astral Radiance Battle Stadiums for some reason. Bought a shed ton of packs. Love opening packs with Kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Kitty's my fiance, for those who aren't aware. If I refer to her, I'm sorry. And I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her. I'm sure she'll be fine. And yeah, we just liked opening packs together, and we tried playing the game more. And on my own with her at home, we built me a Bolton V deck.
Oh, you went Bolton V?
Yeah, because he's so cool. It's an electric dog, much better than an electric mouse. And then we went. She made her a Hisuian Zoroark V-Star deck, which is actually still pretty good now.
It's pretty decent. It's off meta, but pretty decent.
Yeah, we made that, and she ended up slaughtering me every game. But it turns out she didn't enjoy playing the game as much as collecting, and that's fine.
That's fair.
Enjoyed playing. And then I started getting more involved with Sanctuary, and I just kept pursuing and pushing. We should do events, and eventually I just ignored them saying we can't at the moment. I just did them. I was just like, I've got my qualification, I've signed us up for this. They're like, oh, okay. And then that kind of spawned it from there. And I started, I kind of set everything up with a selfish way because I wanted to play the game. And I wanted to play against other people that were like-minded and wanted to play. And it was a great opportunity for us to do that. Great opportunity for us to do that.
Yes.
So we did. Had loads of fun with it. And now here we are.
Yeah.
We both went over to Lille in October.
We did, yes.
I had probably the most god-awful performance ever. No, I didn't. I went 3-3-3 or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
With Zard.
I went 3-5-1, I think.
Yeah. We're mid-podcast by mid-players. And, I sort of wanted to better myself. And you took my ride on.
Yeah, I took my ride on. It was a very different build to what I took this time.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a net deck. This one was a bit more my own input with a few assistance from you just to solidify the 60, but it was definitely a more comfortable 60, I'd say, this time.
Yep. And then I was just playing Zard, essentially net deck, but with a couple of little changes. Like I added a Temple of Sinnoh in just for that Guardy matchup.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be my Guardy games, which was great because they were like, "What? Who plays that in here?" And I'm like, "Gotcha." It was great. I find Zard very boring.
Zard's very much I get these cards out. I evolve into Big Dragon. I evolve into Big Pigeon.
Yep.
I find whatever I need with Big Pigeon. Yep. I hit for knockout with Big Dragon.
Yep. Oh no, Dragon dies. Oh, I've made a second Big Dragon. It's literally make Big Dragon hit. I mean, there's obviously... I am oversimplifying the deck massively.
Definitely. There is nuances to it, and there is like little ways you have to play around the matchups depending on what you're facing.
Yep.
But for a lot of the matchups in the meta at the moment, it is literally make Big Dragon hit with Big Dragon. And
there is an awful lot of nuance and decision making, and you have resource management in Zard, right? Like there's only six to 8 energy in the deck. You have to manage that so finitely, that you have to just be able to know exactly what's in your deck. So massive props to everybody who has success with Zard. Mm-hmm. I personally just found it very boring to play. It was very linear, very one track, and for me that as the Dragon's Den people will say, I'm out. After that, I just wasn't comfortable. I think that's why I like my ride on, because there's so many different options of what you can do with your Pokemon. You got a bunch of attackers, right? Basically, well, the list I've taken, there's only one Pokemon in that deck that I don't attack with. Yeah. Well, I can't attack with. I can. Squawk. Oh, right, okay. I can attack with him, but it's not really beneficial to attack with him. I don't know, turn 1, if they can't get the knockout, right? You motivate onto the Iron Hands, and you're like, now a gen only needs to hit 1, and then attach hit you. Yeah, at that point, yes. Yeah, fair play. So, basically, what I was trying to get at with all of that is, we both had an okay performance at Lille. Mm-hmm, I still enjoyed my time. Oh, yeah, it was fun time. It was nice, it was enjoyable with friends and stuff like that. But we both sort of set our hearts on going to Liverpool. Yes. I applied to judge, didn't get it. And I sort of ended up, we both got a ticket for it. Yes, we did. And along with like 15 other members of the community, it was huge. It was a lot that went. We made up like 1% of the total player base. Yeah, we did. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when there's 1,500 players in Europe's largest regional tournament. Ever. It was kind of pretty damn good, I would say. Yeah, to say that 15 players have gone from one store, that is a pretty decent showing. Yeah. Considering that some stores struggle to get to 3. Yeah, or even 2, or 1. And like, nobody went from certain stuff, which is fine. You don't have to go. No. You don't have to rep. You don't have to represent your store, but it's quite nice to be able to do. I think that's quite nice to be able to do definitely. That. It's definitely nice to see that the community wants to go to those sort of events. Yes, and I felt like we leading up to Liverpool, we ran, we changed our league. Usually we only run 40 minutes best of 3 on a Wednesday. And the reason for that is just because I wanted to get people playing at pace, so they could never really be accused of slow playing later on in regionals and things like that. But then when everybody got their Liverpool tickets, we upped it to 50 minutes to start people getting used to that timer, that endurance sort of thing, and seeing what would happen. And then one weekend we ran a 6-round tournament. Didn't matter how many players turned up, whether it was 4 or 60. It was going to be 6 Swiss rounds, so that's halfway between our usual 3 rounds on a Wednesday and 9 rounds at a regional. That 6-round sort of midpoint was really key to be able to go, here's an endurance test, let's see how you can get on. And I think that helped quite a few people. I definitely think so. I definitely think some players learn how to actually play their decks for that many rounds back to back, considering that you have to basically disregard your last round. Whether you won or lost, you have to disregard it. Move on. And just focus on what decisions you need to make in this game, not dwell on the decisions you made in the game before. Yeah. So we basically, between myself, Beth, and the other judging staff, we did what we could to be able to help everybody prepare. Yep. Essentially. And part of that was also getting us prepared. Oh, definitely, yeah. So we went through, I don't know about you, but deck selection for this event for me was really difficult. I was between 3 until that day where we did the 6 rounds. And then you focused down. Yeah, focused. I got to 2, played 1 that day, and it was like, okay, if it's going to brick this bad in 6 rounds,
I am not dealing with that for 9 rounds. I will go to my other deck.
What were your 3 before?
Sable Lord with Roaring Moon.
Yep.
Miraidon.
Yep.
And Guardian.
3 really good meta calls.
Yeah. Took Sable Lord off the table because I was like, I've not got enough reps with it to do well with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can play a Lost Box. I've played a lot of Lost Boxes. I probably should have took a Lost Box to Lille because up until about 2 weeks before, I was set on a Lost Box.
Yep.
But didn't take one. Whatever. And then I got to Guardi Miraidon. Guardi I was getting a lot of reps with, and I was doing well with Guardi.
Yep.
And then that one day of 6 rounds came, and it bricked like no tomorrow for me. I got no draw. I got nothing. It took one game. It took me 3 turns to even set up a Curlier.
Oof. I'll touch on that in a minute, but that sounds very familiar.
3 turns to set up a Curlier, and I was getting that multiple games in a row.
Yep.
I was like, if I'm doing this now, I don't want to do that for 9 rounds at Liverpool.
Yep.
I'm going to take Miraidon. I know I can set up well with Miraidon, even if it bricks, because I can draw through basically half my deck in the first turn.
Yeah. Miraidon's like quite a nice, comfy deck, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, you've got that set up. If somebody paths you, okay, sure, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But you tend to, well, not your deck list, but some Miraidons run path themselves. They set up, then they path, and they go, ha, good luck. So my 6 decks I was between was Fusion Mew, Zard, Tina, Guardi, Miraidon, and then what was the 6th one? It was that by Goldengo. Goldengo was the other one. And those 6 got slimmed down pretty quick down to 3, I believe it was.
Yeah, you took Goldengo out pretty early.
Yep, like within the first 3 games, I was like, nah, I'm not playing this. So
you'd got rid of that quite early. You kept on Fusion Mew for quite a while.
Oh, it's so easy.
You kept on that for quite a while, and I don't know how I managed to talk you out of taking that.
I know there'll be haters out there that'll be like, DTE all the way. And that's fine. Fusion Mew, I just found ran so much smoother for me, personally. That's because I'm a bad mid player. But I found that it was a lot more forgiving.
It's because you didn't have a lot of reps with Mew. I think if you had high reps with Mew, you would play DTE better.
Probably.
But you are very low reps with Mew because you'd never thought of building it before.
Nope.
You never wanted to build it before. You didn't have that interest in building it.
I can't. If I had the deck to hand, I'd show you that Beth has drawn me an Ice Cube proxy in Sharpie on a fire energy and drawn me a little penguin with a blockhead. That's how many reps I don't have with it. I didn't even finish building the deck. It was just basically a load of proxies. But I had a load of fun with it.
Which my partner ripped into me about that proxy.
So Fusion Mew kind of stuck for a while. Zard, I was flirting with back and forth.
You were, and I think that was just because you had high reps with it.
Yeah, because I played it at Lille. We tested it before Obsidian Flames even came out.
Yeah, we'd been trying to build the perfect 60 for weeks before.
We were playing with printed out proxy Japanese variants with a translation guide next to us, kind of thing.
Yep.
And you've been trying to do the Tyranitar. I was trying to do the Zard.
Yeah, Tyranitar just didn't work.
We tried the Arceus build. We tried the Barrel build. We went to the Pidgeot eventually. And Zard for me, I'd put so many reps in at that point.
Yeah, you had.
And I just thought, that's comfortable. I know what I'm doing. However, I'm bored of it. And that was the 2 sort of sides.
And then you picked up Guardi. And you'd been trying to talk me into Guardi, so you didn't play Guardi.
Yes. I had tried to persuade you to play Guardi. I thought Guardi was the play. I was like, right, you can make day 2 with Guardi.
Yeah.
And then I tried it. I tried it on live myself.
You did, yes. I was there. You told me to send me my 60.
Yep.
I sent you my 60. You built it with, I think, 2 differences.
I think I changed 2 cards.
Yeah, I think you took out the Cresselia, added an extra worker, and took out the Avery and added something else.
Something else, yeah. And I just loved it. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I love being able to go, oh my god, I can draw my whole deck. And then I can use my draw engine as like fodder for my attackers, so I can just evolve into my attacker and then just absolutely destroy people from being cards behind.
Yeah.
I loved going 3 prices behind and then just being able to trade that 2 for 1, 3 turns in a row and win the game. And that
until you hit an Iron Hands.
Well, until an Iron Hands, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Actually, I played an Iron Hands in Liverpool and smashed it.
Ooh.
So it was pretty good fun.
I mean, to be fair, we'll not talk about my one Guardi matchup because I bricked. That was my one game I bricked.
We'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, Guardi came on the table and on the scene at that point.
Yes, it did.
And I remember having the whiteboard with my Matrix pros and cons for each one.
And as you played more and more Guardi, the cons list just kept getting erased.
Yep.
You were there with a massive con list to start with, and I was like, just play Guardi, you'll realise all those cons are not cons.
You went down to like 3 things. Like
it went down to probably, I think, equal to Zard with how many cons you had.
Yeah. Tina, I love Tina. I've played Tina since it came out.
Yep.
I absolutely love it. I adore it. It is a very, very good deck. We've seen lots of good results from it.
Definitely.
Sure. However, it does brick. And I think the reason that we've seen so many good results from it so far is because so many people are playing it.
Yeah.
That somebody is almost guaranteed to get that run.
Yeah, I think because of the percentages that we've got in the meta at the moment, if someone just has to draw well in most of their rounds.
Yep.
Like, I've seen one Tina list go undefeated in day one.
Yep.
They've never gone undefeated to the finals.
Yep.
And I think that is just because you have those 1 or 2 games that you just don't draw right, that you can't win the match.
Yep. It happens. It bricks. It's a deck, right?
And you were stuck on Tina at first.
Yeah, I was
and
playing Tina.
I think it was our testing when I said, Ben, you're going to brick for 9 rounds if you play this.
Yep.
And we played, I think, 10 games back to back one night.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, you're right, I can't play this with how much it's bricking.
Yeah, and I just put it in my box and just left it alone.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played it since that point. I maybe played it once.
I think you chucked it at me once to test into. But
I chucked it at Reese once as well to test into. But other than that, I had never played it for wanting to play it since that point.
Yeah.
So for me, Tina was gone. So I was essentially left with Guardi, Miraidon, and Mew.
Yeah. And your 60 for Miraidon, I think, is 2 cards different to my 60.
Yeah. I went crazy. I saw a post from Azul that said he was testing on live with EXP shares instead of fluffies. And I went, I'm going to yoink that idea. I didn't look at any deck lists.
Nope.
I just threw 60 together that I thought was like the nuts with like 18 energy in it.
Yeah.
I know we'd seen 18 energy lists before, so that was a good base set for me.
Yeah.
But I'd not like net listed or anything. It was like picking parts from different bits and just like together.
And then between us, we solidified that 60.
Yes, and then we played it, and the gens were just horrifically consistent.
Yeah, I can tell you they are horrifically consistent.
I mean, you sacrifice the ability to have some more utility in like the 6 extra cards that you have or whatever energy, but you are absolutely hitting those generators. And if you're not, you are super unlucky.
Yeah, and then you've also got the recycling to get all your energy back with your energy recycler, your super odds. So even if you're having to gen later in the game, when you would be normally losing your fluffies, you've got the energy in the deck.
If you have to research 6 energy away, because it's 6 energy plus research, it doesn't matter.
No.
You're going to get it back with an energy recycler in one item. Like, it's done.
That was the nice thing that you knew. You knew you could be sat there turn 1. You've got, say, Miraidon in the active. You could just go in with Miraidon, get everything you need.
Yep.
You just research away what you've got and get a fresh 60.
Yep.
A fresh hand of 7. You then see what you've got and you can get that 6 back in the deck, no problem, and you're not stressing.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Is you could definitely manipulate the numbers, but I didn't want my entire game for the weekend relying on a generator, because I am horrifically unlucky when it comes to them sometimes.
You are, but I can say to you, having 17, because we went down to 17 energy in the end.
Yep.
That the 17 energy was the play for Miraidon, because I only missed 2 generators all weekend.
Really? Wow, that's pretty damn good, to be fair.
And that one game I lost was because it was into Guardi, because I couldn't set up my Iron Hands.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, Guardi players living on a dream. I'm one of them. But yeah, so essentially, Miraidon not very quickly, but shortly after Tina left.
Yes.
I think Miraidon, Mew left very quickly after that, because I was just like, I don't have it. I'm just gonna do whatever.
Yeah.
So it was Miraidon Guardi for me, the choices, and I told myself I had to decide 3 weeks before the event.
Yep.
Because that 3 weeks would have given me plenty of time to test and practice and play and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I just sort of stuck with Guardi from that point. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I think I decided 2 weeks before, because I was like, well, I've got enough reps with both of them that I'm at the point where I can pick up either one of them on the day and just play.
Yep.
And clearly I didn't do too bad, because I did finish in points positions.
Yeah, there you go.
So I did something.
So your, I guess, so you took Miraidon, I took Gardevoir.
Yep.
Let's talk about your Record. What was your record for the weekend?
I went 5-4.
5-4.
5-4.
Positive. Hey, that's
yes.
a positive win rate.
Positive win rate. Got 473rd, so
Okay.
just in the points, but in the points.
Top third.
Top third.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah. Really good for my second regional since coming back. So.
What was your sort of start? At what point did you feel like a turn of the tides? Was it a 3-0 start or 4-0 start?
I went 1-3. So I won my first round into a Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
Then faced into he was on stream third round. His name's Angle, something like that.
Right. Okay.
From Peru. He was on stream third round playing a Paradox box. He didn't make day 2.
Right. Okay.
He's
not going to show up on here then.
but he was playing a Paradox box.
Yep.
So it's always a bit harder into a Paradox box, especially when he was keeping his Iron Hands into the active.
Yeah.
So I bricked a little bit game 1.
Sure.
Able to set up turn 2 and get my gens out, but had no way to switch into the active.
Yeah.
So couldn't attack. Well, actually, I did switch into the active. I had Raikou in the active.
Okay.
But he hadn't established a bench, so couldn't hit for knockout.
Yeah.
So I was only doing like minimal damage at that point, not enough for one hit KO. So that game didn't go away, but move on. Round 3, hit Guardy. Wasn't Ben, unfortunately.
No, it wasn't me.
Didn't set up my Iron Hands, which would have helped me win that game.
Yep.
Game 3, round 4, I hit Champao. Went to game 3. He had the Crown Zenith Kyogre.
Oh, yeah.
Took out my Squawkabilly. If I knew he had that, I would have Thorntoned it away the turn before.
Yeah.
Didn't realise he had that. So that was what lost me the game, because I had to set up my Iron Hands to be able to take the KO. But if I set up my Iron Hands, I couldn't get it into the active.
Yep.
Which, downside, is what it is. I had to try and dig for my switch cart. Didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things. But nearly went 2-2.
Okay.
Then I had 2 no-shows back-to-back.
Oof. Well, I mean, the free wins, don't complain.
Free wins, don't complain, but definitely didn't help for keeping the focus there.
Yep.
Then round 3, round 6, no. I've had a no-show round 6. Round 7, I hit my first of 3 back-to-back Mews.
That's disgusting.
So he won game 1, I won game 2, went to game 3. I nest balled for a Drapion. Had already attached for turn.
Yep.
I thought he had 3 on the bench, 1 in the active. He didn't. After I benched my Drapion, I looked back. He had 2 in the bench, 1 in the active. I needed an energy on Drapion. I had everything in hand. If I'd not attached earlier that turn, I would have won that game. Because I had 3 prizes left. Is what it is. And then I went in and smashed the last 2 Mews that I faced.
There you go. Wow. DTEs, both of them?
All of them were DTs.
Yep, fair.
Yeah.
The Fusion Mew build has sort of died in its last sort of breath.
Yeah, it has. So. They were all expecting me to bring out a Spiritomb, and had the biggest shock as soon as I brought out the Drapion. Which, I can say, the tech card of Thornton helps a lot.
Yeah, Thornton. Right, so Thornton was something that I think Reese put me onto it.
Reese put us onto it.
And then I had a conversation with you, and you were like, yes, let's do it. You were a massive Thornton champion. And I was like, let's see if it works. And it's just a nice little quirky bit of like, gotcha.
I was a massive Thornton champion because, 1, into the Mew matchup, it gets you your Drapion back very easily.
Yeah.
Because it says basic Pokemon. It doesn't have to be your bench. It can be your active.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about the list that we were running is we didn't run any stage 1, stage 2s.
No Fluffy.
No evolutions. We could just get straight into the active regardless, as long as we had Thornton.
Yep.
So Thornton helped with that, and it also helps for getting rid of the Squawkabilly, because we weren't running the Collapse Stadium, which a lot of people run to be able to get rid of their Squawkabilly.
Yep.
So running Thornton helped massively, just to help in the Mew matchup and help in getting rid of Squawk in any matchup. You just had to conceal it a little bit.
Yeah. And then, so you ended up on 5-4, which was solid.
5-4, solid showing at my second regional.
Nice, that's really good.
Yeah.
That is really solid, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, it was really solid. I would have... I know there was a few misplays that I had where I could have probably finished on a little bit better of a record, but it was only by 1 win, so
right.
I can't complain too much.
Okay, fair play.
Now we'll get on to your record, Ben.
Yeah, I did pretty solid, if I say so myself.
You did do solid.
I finished 5-2-2. which I was literally 1 win away from day 2.
Yes, you
if
were.
If any of my draws or losses were wins, I'd have made day 2. And I couldn't have set myself up better for it.
No, you did really well.
My sort of downfall. I won my first 2 games. I won my first 3 games.
Yeah, you were 3-0.
I was into DT Mew game 1. Went to a game 3.
Yep.
But beat him.
Guardian game. You've played Guardian 3 games?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a single one of my games went over like 5 minutes of time, including turns.
Yeah.
You can play Guardi fast if you like. There's a lot of actions to do, but if you plan, you can do it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I played DT Mew game 1. Game 3 took him.
Yep.
Game 2, I played against Chempal by Excalibur with an Arceus V-Star thrown in.
Arceus V-Star?
Yeah, well, I mean, for that one turn that you need to find the Irida plus a cross switcher, then you can cross Irida for a Excalibur and another cross. Oh, Greninja. Oh, it was kind of cool. Like, it wasn't phenomenal, but it was kind of cool.
It was an interesting one, but it just gives you it gives you more chance to break, to be fair, I think.
It was only a 1-1 line.
Only 1-1 line?
Yes, so it wasn't massive, and I can't remember what he took out of it, but he was a really good guy, really lots of fun, genuinely lots of fun, and I ended up beating him game 1. Didn't respect the Greninja game 2, which ended up going to time.
Yep.
But we got into a position where I think there was like 5 minutes left on the clock, and he said, "Do you want to just call it this game a draw?" Sorry, do you want to just call it a draw? Because he was ahead on prizes. And he's like, "I can get this Greninja play off," and I'm like, I want to see you do it. Let's not call it a draw. Because I just wanted to see, right? Like, because if he didn't hit everything he needed to, because he had to hit like a 6-card combo, then I win. Because he can't possibly take all the prizes he needs to. So I was like, no, let's play it out. Let's see. So we did, and I won because he didn't hit it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to sort of think about, is don't feel pressured if somebody's going to be like, hey, do you want to have see what's happening. But no, that happened. It was against a guy called Keelan McAvoy, which was super fun. Game 3 was against the Zoroark V-Star. Very, very cool. No offense, Aaron. It's not a difficult deck to play around. And beat. He had a 4 Clef key in there, which made it a little bit more awkward to be able to get the abilities of the Greninja off. But other than that, it was fine. Round 4 was my very first Paradox box that I played against. I hadn't even tested into Paradox box.
No, we didn't.
And it
we didn't think it would have a big showing though. And I think what swayed it was that we had a lot of Americans and South Americans come over.
Yes.
And I think what's happened is because of the increased prize fund.
Yeah.
A lot of them are coming over thinking, I can just pay for my trip if I win it.
Yeah. If they win it. So yeah, I played against Paradox box. And I didn't respect the Iron Hands. Game 1, we'd sort of put each other to a checkmate.
Yep.
He had 2 prizes left. I had 2 prizes left. I had a Guardi EX in the active. I knew he was going to get his Iron Hands out. And the idiot that I am had a Guardi EX in hand. Didn't evolve it onto a Curlier. So he could just rope me into 2 prizes for free, basically. If I'd have just put that Curlier into a Guardi, I'd have won that.
Yep.
Which would have turned that tie into a win. And if he'd have tracked the tournament the rest of the way, meant I would have made day 2.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm such a moron. Anyway, so he beat me game 1. And then game 2, I managed to just outplay him in terms of what I was doing. So I ended up a draw on that one. Round 5 was against a guy called Ben as well. He was playing Sablezard plus Moon.
Yep.
Round 1, he opened Sablezard Moon. Cram. Drew. Played a card, passed. Drew, scooped. And I was like, okay, I will take that. You absolutely take those. It's a randomized card game. You take everything you can. And then game 2, Guardi just does really well into Lost Box.
Yes, it does.
So I just did Guardi things, and Guardi just won.
Guardi has done really well since they printed Jirachi.
Yes.
Jirachi helped the Guardi matchup massively.
It saves you so much.
Like, it killed the percentages for Lost Box to win into Guardi because it just meant you weren't scooping up the little things on the bench.
Well, what I tended to do against Lost Box as well was Jirachi Manaphy, ignore the Greninja. Yeah. In a match where I can afford to only place one of them and not both, the Greninja comes down and helps me go faster. But I think you can buy yourself enough time because they're trying to get to 10. Yeah. You just take your time. And you don't have to like waste all the resources. Yeah. Because if you have Greninja, Manaphy plus Jirachi on bench, you've only got 3 spots for having Guardies, which means you've got no spot for a random Screamtail or a Zacian or anything like that. So I only used basically I used 2 utility spots. So that was that. Round 6, was against Royman, which had an incredible showing. There was a lot of players
there was a lot of Royman. I think Ross's list has been popularised and a lot of people are playing that now.
Very good deck. But Guardi just beats it.
Yeah.
He just beats it.
I mean, when you've got a list that's created by an astrophysicist, it's going to be a good list.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that was good. And then the downfall started. So I was 5-0-1 at this point. I was riding high. Everybody from our community was cheering me on, like, come on, Ben, you can do it.
At one point when I was looking on the Poke data, Ben was 5th in the rankings, and it was like, what the hell is happening here?
I've got a screenshot of me at 3rd. I'm just saying.
No!
Yeah, I'll take that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, the matchups were really favourable. And I know people are probably going to say, oh, your run was pretty easy. I'm not going to lie. I did have a couple, like, the Excalibur Arceus was an interesting, quirky one. And the V-Star, I'm not saying the free wins because they're not very good players, but they were significantly easier matchups for me to play.
Yeah.
And then it all sort of came crashing down. So, full disclosure, my voice doesn't usually sound like this.
I mean, this weekend he was having to talk like this.
I was having to push my throat back into place, basically.
He was that croaky that we needed someone to translate if he was trying to talk across the group.
Literally, if I was talking more than a meter, everybody had to, like, relay the message.
Yeah.
It was bad. I wasn't very well at all. So I apologise to my opponents that had to listen to me horrifically at them. But I knew I was feeling bad. And I'm not going to put my excuse of me losing 2 games and then drawing 1 down to that.
Oh, no, you didn't.
But I can analyse and explain why I lost those games.
Yeah.
So, round 7, I played against Charizard.
Yep.
Turn 1, rolls, pass. Draw, rolls, pass. Dead, draw, pass, dead. Great. Lost game 1. I was like, do you know what? I'll take it. I'm due a brick beyond all comprehension.
To be fair, considering you went 6 rounds without a brick, you did really well.
Well, no, I did have bricks. I just dug myself out of them.
Yeah,
I just couldn't dig out of this one.
Those bricks were like, I've got my curlier. I can try and go.
Yeah,
I've got something to try and go to get where I need to.
At least there was something. Whereas this round was just not having it. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm due a brick. That's fine. So I like scooped after 5-10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Game 2. I beat him.
Yep.
Guardi did Guardi things. Zard did Zard things. Guardi just did the things better.
Guardi always does things better than Zard.
When you trade in 2 for 1, it's just so nice.
That's why Guardi does Guardi things better than Zard.
This is why I can't wait for rotation when I'm almost forced to play Drifloon plus Bravery Charm. I'm excited about that. I'll talk about that in another podcast.
We'll talk about that after you've been to Utrecht.
Yeah, let's get to Utrecht first. We'll come on to that in a minute. And then game 3 was just a repeat of game 1.
Yeah.
So I just bricked again. And I'm like, oh, okay, fair play. I literally can't do anything.
Your first loss of the day, though.
First loss of the day, round 7. I was like, do you know what? I'll take that. That's pretty solid. And then everybody was like, come on, Ben, 1 more win. And I had 2 games left. And I was like, I can do it. It's a 50% win rate. I can do that.
Yeah, you had a 50-50 shot.
Yep. Sat down. Who was I playing against? DTE Mew.
Oh.
This time playing the Luxray.
Oh.
Which was horrific. So he made me go first.
Oh.
I was like, okay. Placed all my stuff. Guardi kind of wants to go first.
Yeah, Guardi wants to go first.
Placed all my stuff. He's like, okay. I'd set up. I'd got my rolls ready to go. I had like 3 rolls. Greninja.
Yep.
Space going. I was ready to go. I had Zacian so I could roar the sword to start accelerating energy onto the board.
I mean, in Mew, that's what you always want. You want to be accelerating the energy instead of putting the damage.
Then he whacks down this Luxray, and I'm like, oh, I actually forgot what this does. Can I just read it? And I read its attack, and I cried. I didn't actually cry, but I basically cried.
You cried inside?
Yeah, because in my hand, I had only 1 trainer, and it was Iono. Oh. And now I only had 2 cards in hand, and I was like, this is going to be great, because I can Iono back into 6, and I can play the game. And he uses Sharp Fang, and discards my Iono, and I'm like, that's fair. I got greedy. That's fair. So I top deck a Curlier with Refinement, and I'm like, oh my god, quick, evolve the VIP that I had spare, because I had 3 VIPs, I just didn't play them all.
Yeah.
refined it, ended up playing the game, but I just made bad decisions.
Yeah.
I just put damage in the wrong places. I didn't Screamtail quick enough. And when I did Screamtail, I tried to force myself into the mindset of one-shotting a Mew rather than just forcing him to do a leap.
Yeah.
But the other problem with Guardian to Mew is I put myself down to low HP, which unless I take that one-hit KO, they just get to leap back in the deck for free.
Yeah, they do.
What I should have done was attached Cape, gone down to 10 HP, except I'm losing 2 prizes, but take 3.
Yeah.
Because then I can set up the other Guardy ready to go and smack face next turn.
Yeah.
And win the game.
Because that's exactly why I put Drapion in my deck.
Yeah. Which I wish... the Drapion, to be honest with you, I wish I'd have had.
Yeah.
But Guardy doesn't need it.
No, Guardy doesn't need it into Mew.
I should have just played better.
Yeah.
That game was completely my fault. I misplayed loads.
Yeah.
I learnt a lot. It definitely didn't go how game 1 did in my first round. But I learnt a lot about the matchup. I learnt a lot how to deal with it. And, you know, I learnt not really to be scared of Boxer Disaster. Okay, it is scary.
Yeah.
But you just got to know when to hit around it.
Boxer Disaster's scary if you can hit round it, especially with Guardy because you've got Screamtail.
Yep.
You can choose the Mew that they can't attack it to.
Yep.
If you have to use it, just hit into it with a 1-prizer and know you're losing a 1-prizer.
Yep.
Because trading 3 for 1, you're still 2 up there.
Yeah, 3 for 1, and then what you usually do is, I guess you can promote the EX when it dies, and they have to find 4 tablets.
Yeah, they have to either find 4 tablets or find a way to get a smaller thing off your bench into the active.
Yeah. So usually you're trading 2 for 3 again.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're trading 3 for 3, but it's difficult sometimes because usually early on they pop a power tablet just so they can
they do
get it out of the way. So yeah, that was frustrating. That was all my fault. I'll take that. Now round 9 was stressful. I'm not going to go into the politics of round 9.
It was your winning in.
It was literally my winning in and my opponents as well. We were both winning in. I'm not going to go into the details. No. I'm just going to say it was against another Sable Zard plus a Moon. I'd already beaten essentially 2 of them.
Yes, you had.
So I was ready to go. And game 1, Guardy did Guardy things and just bricked, and I was like, okay, that's fair. Like, absolutely fair. I am due them. I'll take that.
Yeah, you've had 3 games all day that you've bricked in bricks that you can't get out.
Yep. Game 2, I won. Oh, there was a deck check at the start of this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. No, I haven't. Basically, his cards were like this. These cards were horrifically bent.
What? Kind of like that in the middle?
No. What is this? They're magic cards, aren't they?
No, there's some Pokemon cards.
Give me a bad Pokemon card. No, that's a shiny energy. Oh, nearly. I nearly started bending cards. We'll be back after this short interlude.
They're all shiny energies.
Oh no! All right, don't worry about it. Oh, I've got a little slip of paper. This'll do.
You've got a little slip of paper.
So his cards look like this inside the sleeves.
Oh my God!
So for those of you that aren't aware, there you go. Look like this in the sleeves.
That is a Pringle and a half.
Right. Mine, pristine in jet black sleeves. Judge comes over.
This is the deck, I'm assuming, just in different sleeves now.
Yes, that is the deck in different sleeves.
That is like
completely
basically flat.
Yeah.
It's got a little curve to it.
I look after my cards. Anyway, so the judges come over and they go to my opponent. They go, "You're a heavy riffle shuffler, but it's okay." And I'm like, "My dude, I can see those cards underwear from here." Didn't say that, obviously, but I was like, come on, please ask him to recard his deck. Anyway, then he came over to me and was like, you need to resleeve a card. And I'm like,
one card?
What card is it? And he's like, have a look through the deck, see if you can see it. I couldn't see it. I didn't know what it was at all. I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like, have a look at the Zacian. And fair play, there was the tiniest little fold in the top left corner. I'd not have been able to notice. I've got these for a reason. So anyway, I just sleeved it, and we had an 11-minute time extension. It took them 11 minutes to deck check us.
Yeah.
Which I thought was crazy.
That's crazy considering you'd think they'd try and do it as quick as possible on round 9.
Yeah, 11 minutes.
But on round 9, you'd want it to be as quick as possible just so that you aren't the only one sat there playing.
I think it was because of one particular card in my deck.
Which card?
I think it was because of this. So, for those of you that aren't aware, Paldean Fates was released literally the day before, and I did stupid things and ended up with 2 Guardi EX alts from Paldean Fates.
Yes.
Because they're gorgeous, and the little whooper in the background was like, oh, It's just so good. Anyway, please don't meme that. And I think it was them. Oh, I'll just put it in like that. Sod it, why not? I think it was just them trying to decide whether I was allowed to play those cards or not. I think that's what maybe took the time, because I had multiple people over the course of the event be like, "You can't use those." I'm like, "I can. It's a reprint. It's allowed.
It's in the tournament rules that you can, and RK9 only put up legal cards."
Yep. So I was just like, sure. Anyway, I think it was because of that. But 11 minutes goes by. Let's add to the tiredness. Why not? Make me more tired. I'm still ill at this point. So I have to resleeve my deck, which is fine. And then game 1, I brick, and he just plays really well. And that's fine. That's okay. I understand.
That's fair.
Game 2, I played really well. That's fine. That's fair. Game 3, we had 11 minutes left on our time because the timer had hit 0. And obviously turns. And I was just like, I have to win this. How can I take 6 prizes with Guardy against this that quick? And the idea was just EX spam slap.
Yep.
So I just make my 2 EXs and I just hit him with the EXs. I don't care about doing fancy stuff. I have ready to go. There's Ashkin in my hand, or the other curly is to go into a Shining Arcana to then knock out the moon.
Yep.
That's going to inevitably be there. But I just thought, 190 damage. I'm just going to slap him.
Yep.
I kill everything in his deck except the moon.
Yep.
And the Pidgeot. Because he had Pidgeot V in there.
Pidgeot V?
Yeah, for the Snorlax match, so he can just keep recycling everything and knock the deck out. Which is fair. It's actually quite a cool little bit of tech. So yeah, and we just kept going back and forth, and it ended up as a tie. We both had like 2 prizes left or something, 3 prizes left at the end of it. And unfortunately, that was the end of both of our runs. We both had very different reactions. He sat there with his head in his hands, and I was just like standing up and going over and talking to my friends.
Yeah, we were all stood round at the end of the table where you were playing, and we saw him put his head in his hands, and we were there like, has he done it? Has he done it? Has he got day 2? And then we saw you come over with your face, and we were like, he's not got day 2.
Yeah. It was frustrating, right? I'd done so well. I was so proud of myself. I'd proved to myself that I'm not a low tier player. I'm like a mid.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm happy. On reflection, I'm happy with my performance at the event.
You did really well at the event.
I'm happy with everybody's performance at the event. Apart from one of our team that got DQ'd. I'm not going into that.
That was his fault.
That was his fault. We'll not talk about that. But yeah, it was a good event from a performance point of view, I think.
Yes, it was.
Had a lot of fun. However, no, let's talk about top rating Guardian Miraidon list before we go into that bit. So let's start. I've talked for a while. Let's start with Iron Hands looks so cute on Limitless.
I mean, the thing I do want to bring up first is
go ahead.
This was Ben's V-Star marker for the weekend. There is a grand total of like...
I'm just going to stand up so I can zoom in on his.
This is the V-Star marker that he used all weekend.
It's great. What are you on
about? There is like... How many sleeves in this? There is a...
there is an inner sleeve.
Inner sleeve.
A dragon
standard
shield.
Sleeve. Outer sleeve.
No.
A penny sleeve.
Penny sleeve on top of the air dragon shield.
Outer sleeve.
Outer sleeve.
Top loader.
Yep.
And a card saver. He's got 6 sleeves between where his fingers would be touching and his V-Star marker.
But I had to protect the V-Star marker. Also, I don't use a V-Star in my deck. So when I slapped that down, people are like, what is going on? And I was in my I had this on. I took my little Goomy. I've got a Goomy playmat. People thought I was playing Goodra.
He was the Goomy guy for the weekend.
I was Goomy guy. I played with the Zard deck box that Beth got me for Christmas, which is cute. And people were like, oh my god, you're playing Zard or you're playing Goodra? And I was like, oh, I don't know, you'll have to see. Then I flip over a Ralts and they're like, what? And I'm like...
don't worry. When I was whacking out the little Ampharos, there were a lot of people there like, so we've either got an Ampharos in the deck or you just really like Ampharos.
Yeah.
I didn't play an Ampharos in the deck.
I'm just a massive fan of Goomy. So anyway, top rated Miraidon, I believe was 42nd.
I think it was.
And was Meng Hon Chow from Australia.
Ooh.
So I've got his list here. It is Mareep Flaffy.
Yep,
2-2.
no shock.
2 Raikou, 2 Miraidon, 1 Mew EX, 1 Squawk, 1 Iron Hands, 1 Raichu, 1 Zapdos from Go. 14 Energy, 2 DTEs.
Let me guess, he's playing the Peoria.
Peony. 3 Peony.
3 Peony.
2 Boss, 2 Iono,
Yep.
1 Research, 1 Arven, 1 Raihan.
Yep.
4 Gen, 3 Ultras, 2 Rope, 2 VIP, which we settled on was quite a good number, 2 VIP. Super Rod, Vac, Switch, double Seal Stone, Bravery Charm, 1 EXP, triple Beach Court.
Yep.
Interesting. No path, but
no
peony.
Path. Yeah.
Fair play.
Beach Court, I can understand. Beach Court was very valuable. Originally, we were running 2 town, 1 beach. I switched it to 2 beach, 1 town, and even you saw the benefit of that. When I was playing it into you.
Oh, it was really good.
I like peony. I just think sometimes you have to get rid of too much to be able to make use of it.
Yep.
So I always preferred running research and Arvens. Arvens are the way I think the deck is going to move forward.
Okay.
After rotation, I think it's going to become more of an Arven build.
Yep.
Because obviously they lose peony, which a lot of decks are running that at the moment.
Yeah.
To be able to set up, path, and hit, so that they can't continue their setup or whatever, especially into Guardi, which I don't think you hit any Miride on all weekend.
No, I didn't. I got lucky.
Which I can see the benefits of why everything's played. The Flaffy, the main reason I think we decided to take that out was because it's very detrimental in the Snorlax.
Mm-hmm.
In the Snorlax build, it's very hard to play around it with the Flaffy there, because you're having to get rid of whatever's in the active that's the Snorlax out of the active.
Yep.
And get the energy on your Flaffy to retreat or find your switchers.
Yep.
One change I would make to my deck list that I didn't have, that I've now done, that I wish I had, was an escape rope. A lot of the time my opponents had 2 Pokemon down and they retreated so that their damaged Pokemon, what I'd hit already, was out the active, that I was setting up to hit with an Iron Hand to take 3 prizes. And if I'd had the escape rope, I would have been able to get that damaged Pokemon back in the active.
Yep.
Which, hold my hands up. 1 card difference would have made a few big changes. But I can understand the warrant for all of that deck. I liked the Flaffy build. I played it to Leo.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just too much setup sometimes, because you're having to dedicate a spot on your bench to something you're not potentially going to use to attack.
Yeah.
Whereas my bench was filled with things I can attack with. I could attach everything I wanted to wherever I wanted. Obviously, apart from my Forest Seal Stone, I had to attach that to either Raikou or Raichu. But the amount of time that I actually prized it, it wasn't worth running 2.
Yeah.
Running 1 was definitely the way to go.
The play. Play. That's fair.
It gave me that extra switch, that extra flex spot where I could play a Thornton.
Yep.
Which, I don't know why more people aren't playing it.
Well, I suppose when your deck's full of basics, it's really useful. Like, if you've got that Squawk, there's no reason you can't just Thornton the Squawk away.
That's what I did a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I got rid of the Squawk just so I could have another attacker.
Or even, right, if you have to early get rid of the Zapdos from go, and you need that 10 damage, there's no reason you can't Thornton the Squawk into the Zapdos. And then all of a sudden you've got it back. Like, it's interesting. I guess people are like, but you need to play supporters to be able to get cards you hand, like researchers and stuff. But if you set up properly,
you don't need to.
There's no reason that you should. I think it's an interesting one-off to have. Certainly.
It's an interesting one-off, and it's not necessarily early game. It's mid to late game when you set up and you are literally just going, okay, I'm getting this into the active. I'm attacking with this now.
Yeah.
Hit.
Well, let's look at the Guardi player who finished 13th.
13th.
Yeah, 13th was top rating Guardi. Tord was 16th.
Oh.
So this is Rune Jimenez. I'm really butchering names. I'm so sorry.
I mean, you butcher everyone's name.
Yeah, Beth. Let's go with Rune. He was running nothing hugely dissimilar to me. Side note before I read this out, I wasn't running Cresselia this weekend.
A lot of decks have seemed to drop Cresselia now.
Yeah, it was interesting and confusing, but I didn't run the Cresselia. We'll get onto. I'll talk about why in a bit. But he was running the 4 teleportation burst rolls, which I think is great because of the Snorlax matchup mostly.
Yep.
3 refinement Curlier, 1 Mirage Step, 2 Shining Arcana, 2 Psychic Embrace Guardi.
Yep.
A Screamtail, Cresselia, Greninja, Manaphy Zacian, and Jirachi.
Completely standard there.
Which is standard. And he was also running 10 Psychic, 2 Reversal.
Again, standard.
Now, his trainers were interesting.
Ooh.
4 Iono.
Yep.
2 Research.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
A lot of decks did used to run 2 Research. Though.
Yeah. I mean, in a weird way, you can dry up as Guardi sometimes if you've evolved your Curliers and stuff. So it's quite nice later on just to be able to see more cards.
Yeah.
Also running 1 boss.
Yep.
4 VIP, 3 ultra, 3 fog, 3 level. Swapped a level for a fog. 2 candy, 2 counter catcher, 2 rod, 1 vac, 2 artisan, and a collapse. So no worker.
No, but he had an extra stadium.
And he's still got the vacuum. So he's still got 4 bumps.
Yeah.
There, which is interesting.
You ran 5, didn't you?
I ran 5 because I was terrified of Tina. Also, I've got PTSD from Path to the Peak, so I can't wait for rotation until they come out. Pokemon EX in play have no abilities.
No, they'll print it with V still.
Yeah,
and do brackets where it says
rulebox.
Don't have a rule box.
Yeah, they'll basically just reprint Path at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, every meta's had a version of Path.
Yeah, which I'm not excited about. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Is Klefki your version of Path in this one?
Maybe for a little bit it might be, but it has to be in the active.
There's the Flutter main coming out from Temple Forces that it's only active again, and it only stops their active, but it doesn't stop yours.
No, it doesn't.
Which is interesting.
That would be interesting.
So yeah, I ran 4 level instead of 3, and I only ran 2 fog instead of 3. I also didn't run a single research. I ran double worker. So my bumps were double worker, artisan, collapse stadium plus vac.
If you didn't run 2 worker though, you were running a research.
Yes, that was the last card change about 2 days before the event. Was I sort of a week before the event actually. We looked at what was the event before Liverpool?
It was it Charlotte.
Yeah. So we looked at Charlotte's results and saw a lot of Tina, and I thought Tina's going to be popular, Mew's going to be popular. Both of those run Path out the wazoo. Yep.
Especially with it being an EU event. Yep. EU Mew is just built different.
So I just thought, he's got incredible plot armor. It's unbelievable. So I thought, you know what? I'll run double worker, give me 5 bumps, so I'm almost guaranteed to hit one eventually to be able to get through that path and be able to play the game how I want to play it. It worked really well into Mew matchups. I just didn't play very well round 8. Round 1, it saved me so many times. It was great. So that was good fun. I think that kind of changes when Path goes away. I don't need to bump Path.
No.
Moonlit Hill comes in, obviously, from Paldean Fates. And I think we drop the workers and start exploring with other bits there. So that's pretty fine. Because most supporters, apart from things like Magma Basin and stuff, are beneficial to me still.
Yes, they are.
Particularly going into the Drifloon build, if I end up doing that. If somebody plays a Town Store, I don't want rid of that.
No.
I want to be able to get that Bravery Charm out right away. Go on.
With Magna Basin, though, it's not really detrimental to you. It's just detrimental to them putting being able to attack you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to get rid of it.
Yeah, nice to get rid of, but it doesn't harm you as much as Path does.
So, I think Worker kind of takes a bit of a backseat. I think it was useful, and it will be useful for Utrecht.
Yes, Utrecht. I think maybe change one to Moonlit Hill, because Moonlit Hill is too useful.
It's very good. Actually, this is a good opportunity. So, well, actually, no, before we do that, let's final recap on Liverpool. We both had an incredible time.
Yes, definitely.
We both performed really well.
Yeah, I think I went in expecting 4-4-1 or worse. I did not expect to get a positive win rate. I did not expect to be finishing in the points and getting my first regional points. So I'm now on 52 points for the season.
Where did you finish again, sorry?
473rd.
Out of 1,518.
Yes.
That's pretty damn good. I finished 186th.
Yes, you did.
Which is exciting. I'm happy. My points still haven't shown on my Play
my
Pokemon
points still
yet.
aren't
I'm
there
like,
yet.
come on, give them me. I want to see. I think is it 30 that I get? Because of the kickers or something?
You get 30, I get 20.
Something like that. Anyway, so had a good fun. We didn't have a lunch break.
No, we didn't.
And I'm sorry if anybody from Tournament Centre's watching this, but I think we need to address what sort of happened. Mm-hmm. So they started having their Wi-Fi.
Yes, they did.
At every event, they insist on having their own Wi-Fi service, which is fine.
Yeah.
And usually it was great at Lille.
It was great at Lille.
However, at Liverpool, it was shocking.
And I think that's because of how many people they had there. They had, probably, including all the parents that were there and the people with spectator tickets, there was probably close to 3,000 people in that room. Yeah,
probably. And they tried to use their Wi-Fi, and even the vendors couldn't use the Wi-Fi. The vendors had to do a cash system, like only cash, for 2.5 hours to start.
In a cashless vendor. They said that the vendors were going to be cashless.
Yep. So somehow they had to get cash from somewhere, and ended up doing it. And losing out on quite a lot of business, honestly, in those first 2.5 hours. So that was bad for them.
Yeah.
It was bad for us because we had to go to judges to get our pairings. And obviously with 1,500 masters plus juniors and seniors trying to get their pairings, there was like 3 people that got signals. So everybody was like either going to them or the casters even, like Amy, and was coming out with the pairings and was going through them.
I think at one point Shy was and all.
Yeah. Just other people having to try and give out. It was a poor showing.
It was.
And it took them, 2.5 hours to give up and open or pay for the venue Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Which, after we got the venue Wi-Fi,
it was great.
We were fine.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, me and Sam were going outside into the smoking area to get our pairings because we were like, we're going to be stood for ages waiting for the judges to give us.
Yep.
We will just go outside, get our pairing, and get to our table because they opened up an extra door to make it easier for people to get in and out.
Yep.
Which I don't think they planned for that to be open. But because of how people were having to keep going outside to get their pairings, they had to.
Yeah. So I think, I heard that's not the first time Liverpool's been poor for internet as well.
No, I've heard about it before.
So I'm like, come on, let's learn from mistakes. Let's get it fixed. Let's do something about it. And so that was that. That wasn't great. Obviously, they don't have control over how much the venue charged for food.
Nope.
But I had to double check the price list every time I went to buy something because they kept trying to overcharge me.
Mm-hmm.
So a cup of tea was £2.
Yep.
Every time I went up, they're like, it's £2.50. I'm like, no, it's not. It's £2. And they're like, £2.50. I'm like, look at the sign you've got outside. Tell me it's £2.50.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. Not like 50p here and there doesn't matter, but over a weekend.
Yeah, 50p adds up.
You're adding up if you're getting 10 drinks or something. Not that I was getting 10 drinks.
No.
But there was just a couple of things that didn't sit right. Some of the judge calls that I'd heard about and one that I was involved with wasn't like they weren't handled effectively or properly. I'm informed anyway.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me, and I think that's just down to they had so many extra brand new judges. Maybe they weren't.
I don't think it's just that. I think some of it was that they'd not taken on enough judges for how many players they had.
It was weird. They had so many new ones, but they didn't have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of their experienced judges were in juniors and seniors, and I can understand completely why they do that because juniors and seniors needs a lot more delicate care, whereas masters, you could be a bit more direct.
Yep.
Like, dealing with a masters judge calling is very different to dealing with a juniors one. I did it at our last cup, and I hated the ruling that I had to give to the junior.
It's hard, isn't it?
Because I know they didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
But I have no other way to fix that game state.
Yeah. It is really hard. It's difficult to have to do that. There are definitely room for improvement. Number one is please make sure your Wi-Fi works.
Yeah.
If you're going to run your entire event off of phones, which is great because it's the 21st century and we absolutely should be doing that. But if you're going to run your entire event off phones, please make sure the Wi-Fi works.
Yeah, make sure the Wi-Fi works. Don't make us have to have like half an hour between the first 2 rounds just because.
And then give us no lunch.
Yeah.
And their response was, you're just going to have to find time between games.
Luckily, I did.
Well, I'd eaten between round 2 and 3, so I was okay.
I was round 3 and 4.
Right. So I'd already eaten. I was fine. But I'm playing Gardevoir. It usually goes pretty long.
Yeah.
You can't just tell me that I should just essentially ask me to concede early, just so I can eat. And it's like, that's not what we signed. I paid for the premium ticket because I'm a simp.
You are, yes.
And I paid £90 and essentially felt like I was just a walking money bag for them, which was kind of bad. But, everybody I played against was great over the weekend.
Yeah, no. I had lovely opponents and I could not ask for better people that I got to play against. Like, round 6 when my opponent didn't show up and someone else's opponent didn't show up. We sat and had a friendly.
Incredible. I love it. I love Pokemon so much. So yeah, that was Liverpool in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I say nutshell, I think we've been recording for like an hour and a half now. So this is going to be hell to either cut down or just staple together. We'll see what happens. So I guess we'll sort of move towards ending, but we'll talk about a couple of things that are happening.
Yes.
So this weekend we've got Knoxville and Melbourne. So they're going to be interesting. We'll probably talk about those next week.
Yes, I definitely think that would be nice to talk about.
They'll be really cool to talk about. Having 2 tournaments as well. We'll talk about both of those.
Mm-hmm. Except Melbourne won't be streamed. Only Knoxville gets streamed.
But we'll get to see the results.
Yes, we will.
So we'll take that. That's fair. And then coming up at the start of March, so a month today, actually.
Yes, a month today you'll be playing.
4 weeks today, I'll be in Utrecht.
You will be.
I decided to go for the special event because I just really like playing. I don't get to play that much. And I'm going on a solo holiday, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't go with.
No, I did ask Beth to come with me. I also asked other people, but they're busy or have lives or something.
Unfortunately, I have work commitments, Ben.
Yeah, you're in a different country altogether. And so, yeah, I'm going to Utrecht. I'm probably going to be playing Guardi. I'm definitely playing Guardi. This will be my last opportunity to play at a regional level before it rotates, because it rotates at EUIC. Not the whole thing, but like China Arcana goes away, Zacian goes away.
Some of the big things rotate, and it's going to be looking very different.
Speaking of which, I was actually thinking of dropping the Zacian, but we'll talk about that next week. Yeah, it's a chance for me to be able to play Moonlit Hill format with that, so that's pretty interesting. We're going to try and refine my 60. It's not going to be massively different, but there are going to be sort of different bits here and there. And I guess we'll talk through that ahead of Utrecht, probably the week before.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, the podcast that week will probably be about my experience at Utrecht.
Yeah, no, definitely. We need it. We need a rundown of how you do. As much as I won't be there, I'll be tracking.
I'll try and vlog some bits, just so I can have a recap. But yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting. And yeah, so I think for our first sort of outgoing. I think for our first sort of podcast, this has been pretty solid.
It has, yeah.
I feel like we've talked quite a bit.
We have, definitely.
I have.
We've definitely talked a lot around our experience at Liverpool, and it's definitely a very enjoyable weekend. It was nice to have a home regional.
Yep.
We went to France, obviously, for our first, which was fun. Very different.
Yep.
A lot of travelling.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah. We're the ones who drove.
Yeah, we are.
A lot less travelling this time. It was a lot nicer just to be able to go up the day before we started playing, rather than having to drive overnight.
Yep, it was. And yeah, here we go. We've got EUIC in April.
Yeah,
that's
EUIC.
Our next local sort of stuff. Are you going to go and try and play at that?
That'll be my next big event, as long as I get a ticket.
I've got Utrecht, and then I'm going to try and play EUIC. I'm going to try and play Drifloon box. The Guardi box, should I say?
I've got a few what I'm refining the 60 of. I'm going to start looking towards rotation now, since I've got no big events. I'll just probably be doing a cup here and there, maybe. Yeah,
but I think I've got you, Sam, Reese, and a couple of other people, Adam as well, that have offered the olive branch to help me test for Utrecht. So I've got 4 weeks to be able to know how to beat Maridon and go through that. So that's going to be interesting. Other than that, I think it's probably a really good place for us to just call it there.
Yeah, no,
you happy with that? Yeah. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Beth, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me, Ben.
Oh, it's all right. You are welcome back every week if you want. And if you want to just be like, yo, Ben, get off the screen. I want to talk to Sam this week. Then that's fine. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Watching if you're on YouTube, listening wherever it might be, depending. I'm going to... worry about editing this later on. It should be pretty simple. But yeah, we've been Attached Pass. That sounds like a really bad outro. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
This has been Attached Pass. Thank you very much for listening, and good luck in your games.
See you next week, guys.
Bye. Cool. Right. Now I stop the recording.